Hey, what's going on, everybody? Real quick, I want to go over a video here with PPC. This is my third time shooting this thing. My camera keeps doing some crazy stuff. It's making some crazy noises. Really hoping what I just did took care of it. So I'm going to test this out and see, kind of what happens. I don't want to make the whole video again, just to find out it's making crazy noises again. So if you see a kind of a jump in the screen and I'm editing it, that's just me fixing the video. So anyway, first things first, I want to talk about Patreon. I do have it set up. I have different tiers set up. I will leave the link in the description for those of you that are interested. And as far as the coaching goes, it should launch next Monday. So I will email all of those that are interested. I will email you hopefully tonight with that link, and it'll have the tiers in there. You can check it out. So I hope you guys will get something from that. Those of you that are interested, I hope we can take you guys to the moon, man. Excuse my language, but kind of a thing I kind of say to myself, since my dad passed away, it's just like I kind of talk to him, talk to myself, and say, I'm going to take this to the fucking moon. You know what I mean? I'm going to take this business to the fucking moon, and I'm going to take my Amazon business to the moon, and I want to take you guys with me. And there's different tiers there. They're going to give you a little bit more. So feel free to check them out. Feel free to email me questions about that. I'd be happy to answer them, but I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to find a great product or products that are going to help you be successful. So I will do my best to help you find that within your budget and give you my honest opinion on what I think about a product that you choose and how you differentiate that. But you're going to be expected to do that work. You're going to be expected to differentiate that product. Excuse me, let me adjust this camera. So at any rate, let me jump into what we're talking about here today. Talking about just a screenshot. This is of my PPC campaigns. Now this is the third time I've gone over this, so real quick, the top line here, so you can see it's 8.31%. That's my most successful campaign. This is for the last month. You can see I've spent almost $3,200, and it's brought me almost over 38,000 in sales, which is really good. You're not going to typically see a cost that low. Usually a successful campaign will run anywhere from 20 to 30%. But there's exceptions to that. So if you see the one below that, it's for a whole different item and a whole different niche. Okay, I have 3 products now in this niche that do really well, and that's combined for those 3 products. The one below this, you can see it's almost 50% ACOS. It's really high. Shouldn't really be that high, but I've made profit on this. I've made as much as $800 a month profit on this. My most recent, I'm down 100 plus. I just tried to build the ranking back up. And what's the market's changed for that. The price has dropped. The price point for a lot of people have dropped lower. The competition's got more fierce. So this might not be the right product. Your ACOS has a lot to do with your product, your differentiation, your pictures, your quality. There's so many other factors there. So if you were to look at my 8.31% or my 9.6 or my 8.68, you'd say, man, I must be like a genius at PPC, but that's not the case. I know how to do it, I know how to optimize myself, and I can teach you the basics, but you can learn the basics anywhere. Go on YouTube, learn the basics for sure. The thing about it is, if you don't have a good product, you don't have a good listing, you're not in a good niche, you're not at a good price point, there's so many factors that can affect that. Your PPC is not going to mean anything. It's going to be 50, 60, 70%. Because it's just not well differentiated and it doesn't solve an issue, or the competition's changed over time. I mean, these things happen. Sometimes when you have a profitable product, they end up being unprofitable in the long run, or you have to cut your losses or cut yourself off from that product. You've made some money, time to move on. So if I lose a couple hundred with this last order, that's fine. I've made money overall, but sometimes you got to know when to move on. Clearly not time to move on from these other ones. They're doing great, and it's more sustainable for that particular niche. But you have to find not only sometimes the right niche, the right product. All of those things make a difference. Your pictures, your quality, it's not just about PPC. So when somebody messages me and say, hey, my PPC is eating up all my profit, why is this happening? Well, ask yourself, is my product good enough to compete in this niche? Is it too competitive? Even though the numbers might look good, am I making enough of my margins? Not just my margins, am my return on investment good? So, for example, if I'm making $5 in my return on investment, but I have to spend $4.80 or $5 for every customer I get to buy one, and this is after a month or two after I've organically raised myself, because I'm going off of the organic and the PPC sales, meaning I'm going by my overall sales for the items. So if I sell 20 items, but PPC only sells 7 of them according to that, that means I sold 13 other items. I go by my overall sales. Is it profitable? Because sometimes running a high PPC, even as high as 50 or 60%, can get you organically ranked to get you more sales. So it's not just about your ACOS. Do you want your ACOS to be optimized? Sure. But, I always say go by your overall sales. Are you making a profit? That's what's really important. But if you're doing that for a month and you're not profitable and your ACOS isn't good, and you message me and you say, hey, can you look at my ACOS? I can. Am I going to be able to make any difference as far as from what you've done to what I've done? Probably not necessarily. There's no magic bullet for ACOS. You have to have everything in place before that. It's got to work before that. Maybe you just don't have a winning product, and you need to think about that. Maybe the demand's not there. Maybe the competition's too high. So ACOS has a lot to do. It's a projection a lot of times of what you have out there. It's not necessarily independent. It's very, very much related to what you have out there and how you've executed those other things. So again, if you're in it for a month, you're running PPC hard, your overall sales are not making you profitable, and you've optimized, you've done those basic things. For example, a basic thing you should know about optimization, let me adjust this again, is like, for example, I can give you the basics of PPC, but it doesn't really change, it doesn't really solve your issue. For example, if you're gonna have a 40% ACOS and you want it to be 20%, the simple thing to do in theory would just be to lower your bid by half. So if you're spending $1, spend 50 cents. Your ACOS should theoretically be around 20% then. It should go from 40 to 20, cut it in half. If you cut your bid in half, excuse me for the camera guys, if you cut the bid in half, you should technically be able to cut the ACOS in half. So that's something to think about. The basics are fine, but if you don't have everything in place ahead of time, the basics mean nothing. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you guys. That being said, the reason it would be so easy, it would be easier for me to launch a product in my niche when we talk about building a brand, is that my ACOS is so low here. So all I have to do if I want to create a new product within my niche, if it's related, I simply plug it into my existing campaign, I turn that on, add more money to it, and bam, it's going to start generating income. It's going to start selling because my ACOS is low. If I made a good enough product with good quality, got good ratings, and it's got demand, it's going to sell. And I already have that huge advantage where you guys do not necessarily have that if you're a newbie coming into my niche. So I've seen other people do exactly the same thing I've done, and they're selling maybe 1 or 2 a day. If they're running PPC, they're probably losing money. They don't have an optimized campaign. They don't know the area like I do. For example, product targeting, which is this one right here, it's running at 8.68%. I know my competitors, so I've connected my products to the product. Excuse me. For those of you that don't know what product targeting is, you pick their ASIN, and if you think to myself, if I have better value than they do, if I sell for a better price, but I offer more, or I just offer more and sell at the same price, or maybe I sell for more, but I offer better value, or I solve a problem better. Connect yourself with that ASIN, so every time somebody clicks on it, guess what? They see your product. And that's how you go after your competitors specifically. On top of that, I run an auto campaign, which they say with an auto campaign, you shouldn't run it past more than a few weeks to kind of get the keywords you want to be able to use for your campaign, for your manual targeting campaign. I tend to agree with that, but in my case, I run a very low bid auto campaign, and as you can see, not only does it generate sales, this is my auto campaign right here. Not only does it generate sales, it generates about 9.63%. And frankly, it's done a low ACOS for the life of a year and a half. So clearly that's finding stuff that I'm not finding on my manual or my product targeting, and it's targeting those, and it's doing very well. So that means my listing must be appealing to people when they click on it, and I must be offering enough that people are willing to buy it at that price point that I have it at. So that says a lot about the product itself and the listing itself, more so than what keywords I've bid on. But when you have both, when you have the keywords optimized and you have the listing, that's a killer combination, because I can continue to launch more even if the demand goes up in my niche, and I can continue to compete there because my optimization is so good at this point, because I've had a year and a half to optimize that campaign, or those campaigns. I have 3 different ones: an auto, a manual, and a product targeting campaign, which are all below 10%, which is unbelievable. That's not usually how it goes. Usually a good campaign can be 20%. So think about this, guys. Think about PPC in general. Make sure you have a product that's giving you enough of a return on investment. I'd say at least $10, because if you're going to spend $5 getting a customer, you have to be able to make a profit on that. So you're going to make $5 profit on that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big item, but it does have to be one that gives you at least a $10, $15, $20 return on investment. Otherwise, you're not making any money, because you won't have enough to run that PPC campaign. There are exceptions to that, but it's very hard. The demand has to be really high, and you have to sell a lot of them. So, at any rate, I hope this helped you out, guys. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate that. Again, this was just one of my examples of my campaigns. Real quick, this is my main campaign. You can see I have three products in there. You know, my ACOS is 8.77%. I've had 75,000 in sales from spending 6,500. I will run that all day long because it continues to make me money. The next one, if I click on that, this is kind of neat because it gives you an example. This is my newest product. It's actually running at a 6.76% ACOS, which is fantastic. That means the product's good. It means whatever it is, people like it. And I'm running the same campaign that I'm running for these. This is my oldest one. That's a 9.83% ACOS, which is really good. The other newest one, I've sold over 700 plus, but this campaign's only sold 484 of those. So part of that's organic. Part of this, 291, I've sold 700 plus. Part of that's organic. A large portion of it's organic. So you need to go by your organic sales, the ones that people click on that aren't sponsored ads, to determine if you're truly profitable. But I'm profitable in both the PPC realm as well as organically. When you kind of combine them both, I'm profitable overall. You know, right now I'm seeing as much as actually $1,400 return on a couple of days this week. So I'm seeing over $1,000 profit return this week. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth, because everything's just kind of falling in place with the PPC and the demand's there, and I know, you know, how to run it because I have those optimized campaigns. So just give you a heads up here, guys, just to show you I'm not BSing. This is my last 30 days, and also you'll see my today's. It's going to be backwards because I haven't flipped the camera, but hopefully you guys can read this. There it is. I don't know if you can read that, if you see it. But over the last 7 days, I've had a couple days over 5, almost up to 6K. Had some really good days in there. So it's been fantastic. It's been running really well with my 3 products under the same campaign, that optimized campaign I have. So to summarize, the product's got to be good enough. It's got to give you enough return on investment, 10 or more dollars at least. It's got to be, the pictures have to be great, the quality has to be great. If your PPC is not working after about a month and you've optimized your PPC and you're trying to push through and it's still not profitable overall, not just with PPC, then it's time to maybe think about changing your price or maybe changing your pictures. If those don't work, that's kind of a last-ditch effort. Might be thinking about time to clean it out or just trying to sell out to get rid of it so you can start another product. So, you know, when people message me about PPC and they ask, you know, why isn't my PPC doing well? It's eating up on my profit. Was your product good enough to begin with to compete in that that area with the margins that you have? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And the answer is probably no, probably not. So, at any rate, guys, I hope this helped out. I'll leave a link in the description for Patreon, as well as a link for my email, and I'll also leave a link for Jungle Scout. If you haven't gotten it already, I'd appreciate it if you sign up through me. It'll help me out a little bit. And if you guys have any questions, please email me fbacommute@gmail.com, or hit me up on if you get those of you that do want to do coaching, I'll message you. You'll be able to hit me up on Skype, and I'll be able to answer your questions that way. So I hope you have a great day, guys. God bless. All right, have a good day.